I'm Jane.
I'm Emily. We're otherwise known as Camp Lovesick. We've been on the road for 6 months. We got married in June, and this is our 1-year honeymoon tour. It's a short bus, 5-window, it's 20 feet long in total. It's a Ford E350 2002, 7.3 liter diesel engine, best engine out there.
Exactly, and our bus is named Marilyn.
Welcome to the mountains of Iceland. A couple years back we went backpacking through Iceland, and we had this just hilarious encounter with this one mountain in particular, so much so that we ended up just recently both getting it tattooed. It's this mountain here. We thought it was named Sandfell. Turns out we were looking at the wrong mountain the whole time, so it's really not a particular mountain. But the whole thing just made us laugh and made us smile and taught us that, you know, we are all that we need to have fun and to find adventure. So we wanted that to kind of be our symbol for our bus, which is why we painted this mountain range all along our bus. We ended up just using exterior house paint, if you ever heard of it, pretty fancy, and just using rollers and paintbrushes to get it on. And honestly, we were worried it was going to chip, but we haven't had any problems.
Yeah, it's been 2 years since we painted it almost, and it's been fine. So we have two 100-watt solar panels on our roof. We just ended up getting a Renogy solar kit, so it came with the panels, the charge controller, and
the cables.
Oh yeah, and the cables.
Saves you a lot of money, and it's really cool being on solar. We can go boondocking for like 10, 12 days. It's really once we run out of food, we have to leave. So, you know, we don't need any hookups. We don't need to pay for RV hookup places. So because of all that, it's given us a lot of freedom in this year, and it's allowed us to really decide where we want to go. We're not really bossed around by much. The other thing that helps is the fact that our bus is only 20 feet long. Yeah. It exactly fits into a parking spot. If you have a bigger bus, it's not going to fit into one parking spot, and then you have to start paying for 2 spaces, thus also finding where 2 spaces are. So that also limits you to boondocking places, campgrounds, that kind of stuff. But the fact that ours is the maximum, 20 feet is like the longest you can go by still being considered as one regular car, it's given us like a lot of freedom.
Welcome to the inside of our bus.
Ta-da.
Here it is. This is where we live. We'll start with our couch over here. Pretty basic. We had 0 building experience whatsoever beforehand, so our couch is basically just a box. And we have storage underneath.
They all just flip up, so it's like super easy just to access everything that's under there. It is good when we have friends over. Then we can have like 4 people here, some people sitting up front, some people sitting in the bed, and then it's like we actually can entertain, which is nice on a road. When you're on the road for a whole year, it's nice to feel like you still have some sort of social life.
We have a Coolatron, it's called. It was the cheapest possible fridge, which is why we chose it. We're only traveling for a year, so we just want like really basic everything.
It holds kind of everything that we need it to hold, week's worth of groceries, and then we'll have to restock.
This is our coffee table / toilet, which is a key to any good home. It's super simple, just a Home Depot bucket plus a cranberry juice jug. Once again, for a year, it's totally fine. I think if we were doing something more extreme or longer, we would go with a real-life composting toilet. We have our giant collection of tapes for our tape player here, and just camera, candles, other things we need on an everyday basis. Here's where we have our compost and our recycling, which we didn't have a place for as we were planning our build, and then realized pretty late in the game, oh, these are things that we'll need to have a spot for. So luckily we had this extra little space at the front, so that was easy to pop in there. And then shoe rack for all our dirty shoes, and then hangers here for coats, hats, just outdoor wear. definitely a lot of learning to begin with. The first probably month was surprisingly hard. I feel like Instagram makes it look like the most enjoyable time constantly, but at the same time,
you still have life. Like, you still have to put up with regular life things. You have to figure out, you know, when you're gonna do your laundry, and you have to cook, and you have to do your dishes, and like, those things don't change now that you're on this perfect van life path. So that was kind of hard, is just bursting the romanticism of what it's like. But once we really adjusted, we really started getting into our own groove, and we love it. Was our pride and joy. This was a cool old barn board beam that my parents had in a barn. Just this ancient kind of piece of wood that they had kicking around and they had no use for. So it was a great thing to incorporate into our build to kind of feel like a bit of home, which we love. The cool thing was here was like the old holes where this board connected to the other board. We ended up just chiseling it out and putting in these stone tiles, which also was some excess from my parents' house. And then it actually kind of acts like a built-in coaster for when you're making hot stuff. You can kind of put it there and you're not going to leave a ring on the wood.
So this is where we keep our stove when we're driving or want to keep our bus looking relatively tidy. And then we'll set it up and put it here. It's just a very simple Coleman stove. And then over there we've got our propane tank. It's a 5 liter, so I guess 1 gallon-ish propane tank.
These 5 drawers hold all of our food, well, the rest of our pantry food, our tea, our dishes, our cleaning supplies, and they're beautiful pieces of wood, and I wanted to kind of celebrate the imperfections. This whole trip is just about kind of finding natural beauty in things, so it was just a really cool way of giving a nod to that and to that realization that we were having, but also saving these things that were about to be burned and kind of saying, hey, you're not perfect, and that's why we love you. So that's why we built those drawer faces.
Yeah. And then this piece of wood here has 3 purposes. So it covers up our sink, the kind of plumbing underneath the sink, and then it also, when we're driving, it goes in front of these drawers here, and then we have got 2 hooks on either side that we just latch really easily to stop the drawers from opening up, and then it also becomes a table when we're eating, so you can just slide it out and flip it up.
Then we use this as an extra countertop when I'm doing dishes. We slide it over and then I can dry the dishes on here. We slide it this way when we're cooking, because then you have this whole area to cook with. Or we can cook just underneath the emergency hatch, so then we don't really need a vent. We're able to just cook right underneath and all of the steam just goes out, so it's amazing. And then just extra chopping space. It like really doubles all that. And then additionally, when we're ready to eat, one of us sits on the couch, one of us sits in the bed, and then we actually have a table, but we don't have to make any space for it. So it's kind of like this 3-in-1 purpose. It was a really good thing, and again, it cost us like $5 to make, so it was super cheap.
And then for our water, we have 2 large 5-gallon water jugs that we just keep under our bed, and then we use those to refill this jug here. It's an enamel pot that we got at an antique store. We just have to remember to put this on the floor before we drive, otherwise we spill like 3 gallons of water all over our bed, which hasn't happened yet, but oh, I'm sure one day. Looking forward to the day.
I had a job, I'm a teacher, but I was able to take a year off, so without any penalties, they're holding my spot for me when I get back. So it was pretty easy right now at this point in our lives to just say, yeah, let's go on a year and let's see where this trip's going to take us and see the people that we're going to meet and the places we're going to adventure, and Yeah, it took some convincing on Jane's part. I had to really convince her, but you know, she said yes. Welcome to our very luxurious master bedroom. It is a full double bed, wow. So this is just a little piece of a door that we used in different places in our build as well. And it just sits on the wire runs. Underneath there's so much storage. It's where we store all of our clothes. Could have built drawers coming out, but this works just the same. And then you have the additional perk of one, not building it, and two, you can pull it out, and then when friends are in here and when we have more friends than fit the couch and the bed, we pull that out and then it acts as extra seating, which is really sweet. It's storage but also extra seating and comfort, so that's pretty sweet. So one of them is like totally full with clothes, the other's half full, and then just a laundry bag. Make sure you put spots for your laundry, recycling, compost, and garbage. Those are things you might forget, but they take a lot of space.
So I'm a writer, and I have been writing on the road, which has been equal parts inspiring and also super stressful. So I've been doing a bit of freelance just about van life and things like that, and then I'm also working on a new novel.
She's taking the best parts of our adventure and turning it into this chapter book, and publishing it chapter by chapter on our blog, Lovesick.com, and it's hilarious. Like I've cried like laughing so hard. Your mom has cried laughing so hard. Being away from home and having this nomadic life is actually making us excited for structure. We're really enjoying it right now, but we are excited to have our community again. And it's wonderful, like the schoolie community is great, and it's great to have friends on the road, but they're not people that you can just text and say, hey, you want to come over, and then they're there in 5 minutes, right? Like they're across the state, across the country, they're just on Instagram, and it's beautiful, the community that we have, but we're actually like, the more we travel and the more adventure we're finding, we're excited to figure out how we can work that passion into a bit more stable of a life, because we're looking to have kids, and there's amazing schoolie families that have kids, but we're excited. We're excited to buy a house and to flip it and to do all those kind of things, which isn't the popular view in the schoolie community, but we're actually excited to get back to it.
Thanks so much for coming to check out our bus. It was been super fun to give this tour.
Yes. You've been extra kind.
You've been an excellent guest, and come back anytime.
Yeah, you're welcome.